Hey y'all, Cactus Jack back at you finally with Artimus Pyle. This guy is a legend, the last surviving member of Lynyrd Skynyrd, now recording again with a new album out and more projects in the burner. You've heard a lot about him. Here he comes in his own way with the facts, plus his opinions on Nashville, Dolly Parton, and a whole lot about music and Lynyrd Skynyrd. Artimus Pyle next, Country Conversations with Cactus Jack. Cactus Jack here, and I'm a little bit nervous. Folks that are familiar with my radio show are familiar with my conversations. I talk to a lot of people, but not usually somebody as cool and as well known as Artimus Pyle. Innovator on drums from the early days of Southern rock, he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's perfected his own musical style, a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. Thank you, sir, for your service. Now a Grand Ole Opry performer, survivor of more than one life-threatening and life-changing tragedy. Of course, I'm talking about Artimus Pyle. How cool are you, man?
Hey, Jack. I'm not that cool, but yeah, Artimus Pyle here.
I don't know. Where would you like to start here? You want to start at the beginning, back when the rocks were warm from creation?
You know, I was born in Louisville, Kentucky. You know, a man from Kentucky sure is lucky. I'm sure, like everybody today, was saying, rest in peace, Toby Keith.
Amen. Just got done playing a tribute to him on the radio. Big hole in the music world today.
Yeah, it's a sad day. I'm in North Carolina, so of course I didn't hear your show, but I could really relate to Toby's. You know, a lot of the newer country that has been around for like 20 years, it didn't rock enough for me, but Toby rocked, man. That guy rocked. And 62 years old, that's too young, and I'm sad. My band is sad. You know, we all live, we all die. It's how you live your life.
We knew it was coming, but it doesn't make it a bit easier today. I'm totally in agreement with that.
No, sir, it doesn't make it easier.
My goodness. Well, Rossington Collins Band. Can we get into that? I remember you from Rossington Collins Band.
Well, I named the band because it has, you know, Rossington Collins. It rolls off the tongue. It had Autobiography, and of course we couldn't call it Lynyrd Skynyrd because without Ronnie Van Zant, there is no Lynyrd Skynyrd. And so, you know, we were looking for the name, and I told Gary and Alan, I said, well, look, you know, you guys are founding members. Rossington Collins is who it is. And, you know, it had an appeal to it. So, you know, that was, but then I was hit by a truck on my motorcycle and broke my right leg in 21 places. So, you know, I couldn't really join the band until I healed. And then by the time I healed, of course, the band had imploded at that point. And then we got back together. I was living in Jerusalem, Israel, in the castle of King David, studying Old Testament and trying to become a better human being, trying to work on my character. You know, I got a call from Gary and Alan saying, we're going to put together the tribute tour, and in '87, and I came back to America for that tour, and it was successful. So, you know, all the shows were sold out, and Johnny Van Zant came in and sang the vocals for his brother. So, yeah, you know, everything led up to what I just recently did, which was put together an album out of Nashville called Anthems, because I know you know this, Ronnie didn't just write hit songs or hit albums. He wrote anthems that'll be here 1,000 years.
He did. He most certainly did.
And you know, I can't help but think somebody like Toby Keith was influenced, you know, by Ronnie, because after Ronnie Van Zant, country music, it changed a little bit where it was more Southern rock. It kind of, the drums were given more up front, and the drums were fatter in the mix. And our new album, Anthems, which is a tribute to Ronnie Van Zant and his band, we have Dolly Parton singing Freebird, a whole bunch of incredible vocalists on our new album, which, by the way, it released a couple of days ago, February 2nd, Groundhog's Day.
Yes, sir. I actually played the first cut, Give Me Three Steps, last Tuesday. I got it sent by Brian Jennings, and I played it on the air. And then Saturday night, I got a chance to talk to Marty Raybon and get his take on it. So it was pretty cool. I'm really excited about this project.
I was tickled to death to be a part of that. Artimus, we'd done a show together up in Minnesota, and we were on the bus talking. He said, "Man, would you be a part of that?" And I said, I don't know. I said, "Man, it depends on if my favorite Skynyrd song's been taken." He said, "I don't care whether it's been taken or not, which one you want to do." And I said, "Well, I wouldn't mind doing Give Me Three Steps." He said, "It's yours." Which, we cut it just like Skynyrd. We cut it just like them. And then so I just tried to do the best I could. I didn't want to copy Van Zant, because that was Ronnie Van Zant, and I sing different than he does. And that kind of, man, it sure was fun doing it. I just know that when he asked me to be a part of it, I was honored and really grateful that he did.
We love Marty, and he did a great job. Everybody, all the vocalists were putting their best foot forward to honor Ronnie Van Zant, because they were basically honoring a fellow singer, songwriter, performer. And not every, there's a lot of singers in country, but there's not a whole lot of songwriters. And there's very few people that wrote as prolifically as Ronnie Van Zant. He was able to, sing songs that the common man and common woman could relate to. The song he wrote for his mother and his grandmother, I Knew Them, and Simple Man. And I've heard Bob Dylan on television quoting Ronnie Van Zant from Simple Man, saying all you have to do is listen to Ronnie Van Zant sing Simple Man, and that tells you everything you need to know.
People have personally touched by this. When I was going through the list last week, when I got the promotion stuff that Brian Jennings sent me, I had, I'm listening to Ballad of Curtis Lowe in my head, and I know every word. What's Your Name? I know every word. Michael Ray, I know a little. Marty, Give Me Three Steps. I know all the guitar licks to that one, and I'm 69 years old, and these songs have been part of my life, ever since I can remember anything that moved me like that, and it's all poetry.
I hear you. It is. And that's why, I've done interviews from Athens, Greece, to Sydney, Australia, to Paris, France, to Edinburgh, Scotland, Montreal, Toronto, all over the United States. In the last few weeks, I've done interviews everywhere, and everybody the world over thinks that, it's one of the best tribute albums they've ever heard. And of course, the one thing that gets your attention, right up front, is that Dolly, Miss Parton, sings Freebird. And her vocal on Freebird, when we were in the studio one day, and Dolly said, "I'm going to play you my vocal on that track you cut for me." And, all the tracks were cut by Brad Durden, Scott Rains, Jerry Latta, Dave Fowler, and myself, Artimus Pyle, USMC. And we cut all the tracks, and Dolly said, "I want to play you my vocals." So I sat down with her in the studio, and she played it, and I mean, I cried like a baby. The tears, it was true tears of joy and tears of bittersweet memories, and the way she sang it just, and that's before that we lost Gary Rossington. 7-8 months ago, we lost Gary. He was the last founding member of Lynyrd Skynyrd, and that left me being the last living member of Lynyrd Skynyrd. And Jack, it doesn't make me feel good. It makes me feel bad. I don't really want to be the last living member of any band, but, it's a fact. I am. And my band and I are not going to change what we do. We've been together 15 years. We play Lynyrd Skynyrd music better than any band in the world. And, every time we go out and play, we just did 4 shows with the Outlaws down in Florida, all sold out, performing art centers. And, everybody loves our presentation. And being the last living member, I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to sit with the fans and listen to the stories after we play our shows, sign albums that they bring, and relate with them, and they share the stories with me, and I share that with them. So, Ronnie Van Zant got me into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If it wasn't for him, I doubt very much that would have happened. But because of his prolific writing, I got into a club that, as I found out, it's kind of a big deal. Well, and so we did this album, in honor of Ronnie and his band.
Well, you kind of have to be large enough to fill those shoes, so I wouldn't want to take anything away from Artimus Pyle, and you've been an inspiration to a lot of folks. And do you have an autobiography yet?
I have written a book, and I wrote it with a man named Dean Goodman that lives out in Los Angeles. Dean worked for Reuters and the Associated Press. He's a journalist. He follows music all over the world. And every word in the book are my words. But Dean, because he's a journalist and a writer, and I'm not, yes. All these stories, the stories in my head, I just kind of ramble. But Dean, being a writer, was able to put everything into continuity, give it continuity, and make it flow, so that people can read it instead of just me jumping around from story to story. 125,000 words, 350 pages, 25 chapters, and everything in the back. If I mention an interview or something, a quote, it's all listed in the back. So everything, anybody that reads it can check and make sure that I'm, keeping it real. The book is called Street Survivor, Keeping the Beat in Lynyrd Skynyrd. I haven't published it yet. I might write a couple of extra chapters for it, since so much has happened since I finished the book. Because, Jack, I'm limited in my multitasking. I can only do one big project at a time. And, doing the movie that we did about the plane crash,
I saw that.
My sons and I and my band and my friends in Nashville, we wrote a beautiful soundtrack to the movie. And I wrote the screenplay for the movie, and with the director who came up with the script. And against all odds, we were sued and called all kinds of names, and we had a small budget of $1,800,000, but we got the movie done against all odds. Everybody calling me every name in the book, and you know how the conspiracies, the conspiracy theories go, but we got it done. We're very proud of it. We released it during pandemic, which it's hard to do a movie and a soundtrack anytime, much less during pandemic. So we got passed over a little bit for recognition, but the whole world was suffering, so I'm not going to complain about not getting enough airplay. But it's there. I'm proud of it. Against all odds, we got it done. And then, of course, this album, this Anthems tribute that we've been working on, it seems like we've been working on it for years, trying to navigate the ins and outs of the music business in Nashville, Tennessee is not easy, Jack.
Amen.
And so we did it. I mean, the album is out. It sonically, it sounds incredible. I got the fattest drum sound I've ever had on an album, and that was all thanks to our producer, Kent Wells, who's been with Dolly Parton for 35 years, and they're best friends, and her producer. So Kent is the one that produced this album. So sonically, the album is bright and sounds great. And my band of 15 years, APB, we went in and cut some of these songs first track. First cut. We'd lay it down and wouldn't even have to do overdubs, except for the vocals. So, bringing in the vocal performances from all of our incredible singers, of course, Dolly, and then, Sammy Hagar sang Simple Man. And I've known Sammy since back when he was with a band called Montrose, Ronnie Montrose.
I remember Montrose.
Remember Montrose?
I do.
So Sammy, just put his heart and soul. All the performances were from the heart and sincere as they can be. And I think people the world over have noticed that this is a special tribute album. And we had a young lady from Canada named Lindsay L. She's 33 years old, hotter than a firecracker, plays guitar and sings, and very popular, very big deal up in Canada. So we tried to, work, let's say, across the aisle and with everybody. And it wasn't easy in Nashville, but against all odds, we got the album done. And it's out there, February 2nd, Groundhog's Day. And against all odds, I was able to get Gary Rossington on Freebird playing his iconic slide solo with Dolly, and that meant the world to me.
My goodness. Yes.
And that was the last thing, Jack, that Gary ever recorded was with Dolly. And I worked to make that happen. Gary had been lied to and told that Dolly had backed out of the project, because there's people in Nashville that just want to ruin it for everybody if they can't get their fingers in on it. So, we were able to get Gary in there, and that's due to Kent Wells, because he's so highly respected and admired in Nashville. He worked with, of course, Dolly, and then Reba, and just countless artists. So we're very, very happy that we're included in the world of music, Jack.
No matter what else happens, buy this project. It's on all the platforms, I assume, yes?
Yes, sir. Now, I've never touched a computer in my life personally. I've never sent or received an email. I have never downloaded anything.
I love that.
I do have an iPhone 14, and I did that so I could stay in touch with my children and grandchildren. There's 8 of us, and we all play music together. But there's one thing I want to say, Jack, and I appreciate the opportunity.
You take all the time you want. This is really a blessing to me. You go right ahead.
Well, at 75 years old, I still play drums like I'm 25, but it's 75. And I have the best band in the world. We have a 1999 Prevost. We keep her, we call her Pearl. We keep her clean as a pin. We run a tight ship. She's fast, and we found that out in Texas. She's fast. And so we're a road band. Nobody does what we do. We'll get on the bus and spend 5 days on the bus to play one show in Ruidoso, New Mexico. drive out there and then drive back 5 days in that bus for one show. Nobody does that. And I just want to make it very clear to your listening public that we did this album as a tribute to Ronnie. I certainly didn't do the album to make a big boatload of money. The children and grandchildren of my friends that are up in rock and roll heaven or over in the parallel universe on the biggest stage in the world, together again in heaven. And I did this album, we did this album, all of the efforts was as a tribute to Ronnie. And of course, Steve Gaines and Alan Collins and Billy Powell and Leon Wilkeson, and the girls, Cassie Gaines, Leslie Hawkins, JoJo Billingsley, Ed King, Gary Rossington. It was a tribute to all of these people and the children and grandchildren of the men that wrote these songs are going to benefit from the royalty, the mechanicals, and the licensing fees for the songs. So that's where the lion's share of the money will go, is to the children and grandchildren. And that we did that on purpose. And a lot of people would say, well, why record a bunch of Lynyrd Skynyrd songs that have already been recorded? And Jack, you know as well as I do that nobody's going to be better than the original Lynyrd Skynyrd. No recording of any of these songs is going to be better than the original recording. Now, Ronnie Van Zant, if he could chime in, he might say, well, you got Dolly Parton to sing Freebird, and I don't think you could do better than that, because I thought about it a lot, redoing Freebird. I looked up and said, Ronnie, I hope it's okay. And Ronnie I felt like saying, I knew he would say, well, you better get somebody good. And I'm like, well, how about Dolly? So we did this album for all of the correct reasons, and I feel that that's good karma.
I do want to point out that you're coming to here. You're coming to the Kentucky Opry in Draftonville, just right down the road from here, where I was Saturday night talking to Marty Raybon. You're coming August 3rd. So I'm looking forward to seeing your road band and maybe shaking your hand for that.
Well, you're invited. Please come out and hang out with us, backstage, and get a bird's eye view. The catbird seat. We'll give you the catbird seat. And we'd love to have you. I love playing in my home state of Kentucky. October 6th, we played Elizabethtown, E-Town, outside of Louisville, where I was born. And that was I had taken a month off in September, to have a procedure done through my VA hospital. I'm a veteran, and they found a little bit of cancer. And, and I thought, I'm a Marine, and I was stationed at Camp Lejeune 4 different times, and I went there as a kid visiting my uncle, who was a Marine that, fought in Korea, and we lived on base, for a week or 2 weeks at a time, going to the beach, and I drank the water. And at 75 years old, when the doctor told me that we found a little bit of cancer, I laughed and I said, I'd be surprised if I didn't have cancer, seeing how I drank the water. And there's so many Marines out there and their families that drank the water. The doctor told me, he says, I've never had anybody react like that when I tell them they've got cancer. I've never had anybody laugh. And I said, well, doctor, you know, we all live, we all die. I said, I've had an incredible life, but I said, can you fix it? And, you know, and he was like, oh yeah. So, you know, they fixed it, and I'm good to go. You know, and I don't question anything that happened or how it happened to me. You know, everybody, every man, woman, and child on this planet has to deal with the ups and downs of life. And I just take it in stride and try to put one foot in front of the other. So, you know, that's kind of a Marine thing. You know, you have to adapt. And I am Gomer Pyle, USMC.
Well, Mr. Pyle, Gomer Pyle, whatever you want to choose, I want to tell you, this has been a blessing to talk to you today. And I would love to just sit and hang out with you, go fishing or something, and talk all day. But I do want to find out right quick here if there's anything I left out, because I'm not an interviewer. I'm a disc jockey. I'm a carpenter. I'm an auto mechanic. I am not an interviewer, but I do like to talk to people. And I want to find out if I've left anything out that you want to get said today.
Well, you know, let's just for 1 second go back and please come and see us. I'm looking forward to meeting you, and I would be so, you know, honored if you would come and check out our band. As I said, we've been together 15 years, and nobody plays it better than we do. I don't require anybody in my band to dress up like Lynyrd Skynyrd. I don't require anybody in the band. We have 3 incredible vocalists, you know, and they stepped aside for these other vocalists to sing on this tribute album. But Brad Durden, Jerry Lida, and Scott Rains have beautiful Southern harmonies. We are a true Southern rock band. You know, we're from Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, Kentucky. Represent a true Southern rock band. Our album is out. Didn't do it to make money, but the album is available. The album package looks really incredible. The artwork looks really good. It's kind of retro and vintage looking, and so we're really happy with it. We want everybody to enjoy it on all the different formats. Download it. Vinyl. I know a lot of people like the warm, fuzzy sound of vinyl, and every format that's out there. We want everybody to enjoy these performances. You got to mention Dolly. She's not only a singer-songwriter, movie star. She can play guitar as good, but this lady is a true gift from God on this planet. She is a humanitarian. Her reading programs for children, it doesn't get better. She gives millions of dollars to children's hospitals all the time. If somebody needs something, Dolly Parton will step up. And, you know, she did 30 songs on her new rock album because I told her I was going to vote for her in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And she said, well, I don't know if I deserve it. And I said, well, Dolly, you know, you're a humanitarian first, and you deserve everything. And she said, well, I guess I'll accept the nomination. But she said, can I put Freebird on my album, Artimus? And I said, well, the whole band basically said, Dolly, yes.
Please.
Please. But, so, you know, when Dolly released her album, 30 songs, I mean, she recorded with Paul McCartney, the Beatles, everybody. And she's out there, and there's already song placement because it's Dolly out there. And it's going to be tough placing Freebird and the things because the song is so long. But you know, she put it on her album, and when she released it, I mean, it felt good for myself and my band, and my son Chris, you know, mentioned as a percussion and drums on Dolly's album with Ringo Starr and Mick Fleetwood. So, you know, we were thrilled, and to be on a #1 album all over the world on most formats. So, you know, we're on Dolly's new album, and she's on our album, and there's a couple of surprises for everybody that, you know, as soon as you hear it, you'll pick up on it. And So I'm looking forward to seeing you, Jack. Bring 100 of your favorite girlfriends.
I'm actually going to bring about, several hundred of my closest friends. We sell out a lot of houses in Kentucky Opry, and by the time folks hear what you're going to say, they may book you a second night. You just never can tell, brother.
Yeah, I thank you for mentioning the fact that on October the 20th this past year, on October the 20th, it was the 46th anniversary or remembrance of the plane crash. And we were in Texas, San Antonio, on a run playing for veterans, raising money, because we use the power of Ronnie Van Zant's music to raise money for children, cancer, veterans, police officers, firefighters, communities, whoever needs a boost. And we were in San Antonio playing for the veterans, and we came back east to Nashville and did some promotional stuff for the new album. And then on the 20th, we were invited to play the Grand Ole Opry and make a debut. We played 2 songs, and it just made me feel so good sitting on that stage, kind of looking up, thinking, hey, everybody, we're representing. We're here. We're representing with honor, integrity, and accuracy. And we did Sweet Home Alabama and Swamp Music, and the place was sold out, packed. Vince Gill was on the bill with us that night, and he sang a song dedicated to Ronnie and the band, because it was I talked to Vince and I let him know it was the 46th anniversary of the plane crash, and he sang a song he had written for his brother that passed, and there was not a dry eye in the Opry that night. And of course, we played the Ryman Auditorium with Dolly to raise money for breast cancer awareness. And of course, anything you do with Dolly, it's going to be sold out. And so, I feel lucky to be included in this world of music. And thank you so much for your time. Thanks to the fans for keeping our music alive. Thanks to the radio stations all over the world for keeping our music alive. It means so much to all of us connected to the Lynyrd Skynyrd family.
Thank you. I have one more quick question. It's just a yes or no. I have a YouTube channel, and I produce these audio recordings when I interview people and put in appropriate artwork and so on and so forth, and put it on YouTube to share it there. Is it okay to use this on my YouTube channel, and is it okay to use the artwork from the website and whatever to tell folks what you're talking about?
Absolutely. And we, all of the publicity is good, and I'm sure that you can, with today's editing ability, you can, chop this up and make and give it continuity, because I do ramble and I try to give a lot of information, but something comes in my mind and I kind of switch to that. So
you do understand that I would pay $100 for your autobiography if it was available. I mean, nobody I know is not going to be riveted to these stories. This is just an amazing blessing to me. Thank you.
Well, you're certainly welcome, Jack. And my book will come out. Like I say, we did the movie, we did the soundtrack, we've done this album. I'm limited. I can do one big project at a time, and so my book will come out as long as the creek don't rise, and it will come out at some point when I'm ready to publish it. I will do it, and but I've had a lot of lawyers that have been threatening me, saying, if you tell your story, we're going to sue you and everything. And it's called the First Amendment. I have a right to tell my own story.
That's what I hear.
It's just like with the movie that I did. They came at me with $1,000 an hour blood-sucking weasel attorneys from New York City, called me every name in the book, and said that I'm not allowed to tell my story. you know, and we went to the Court of Appeals, and the Court of Appeals said, "Oh yes, he does."
This is his story. What do you own in it?
Yeah, exactly. They weren't there. I was, and I you know, that movie was accurate. You know, Hollywood went overboard a little bit with the nudity, but it's not for children. The movie is not for children.
I'm going to have to go back and watch it again.
Well, there's nudity, there's foul language, there's drugs and alcohol.
It was life in the 70s, yeah.
That was kind of life in the 70s. So, you know, all of these projects, and of course, our band, we're working on a brand new Southern rock album. On the heels of this tribute album, we're going to show everybody that we can also write brand new stuff. For the movie soundtrack, we wrote a song called Street Survivor, the title track of the movie, and I would put it up against any Southern rock song ever written. It has beautiful Southern rock harmonies, beautiful Southern rock guitar harmonies, and it rocks. I channeled John Bonham on my drum part, and you know, I would put it up against any song, any Southern rock song that ever was put out there. So we have a whole new album, but we're not going to record it in Nashville. I've been going to Nashville my whole life. I was raised in Fentress County, Jamestown, Tennessee, after being born in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm related to Alvin C. York, but I'm just too little of a fish to record another album in Nashville. I'm going to record our new album, APB. We're going to record it in Asheville, North Carolina. I love Nashville. I've been going there my whole life, but we're going to record our new album in Asheville, North Carolina, and this area. I'm recording a new album on my son, Marshall Pyle, and Chris Pyle, who wrote music for the movie soundtrack. I'm the drummer in my son Chris's band. It's called Pyle Tribe. And we're going to record in Winston-Salem at Ovation Studios, a beautiful studio put together by a friend of ours. And we're going to record 2, family albums there. And then the next APB Southern Rock album will be recorded out of the Asheville, North Carolina. Have you ever been to Asheville?
I have.
It's a beautiful town, and we live, living in the South, as you well know, Jack. We're very, very fortunate. A man from Kentucky, sure enough, is lucky.
There you go. Oh my goodness, I was expecting 10 minutes, and we've been here getting close to 40 minutes. I am just tickled to death with all the information we got here, and I can't wait to meet you and shake your hand, sir. We get to talking. You may forget to do the show when you get to here August 3rd, but tickets for that show are going on sale this Friday, February 9th here, and I don't have any doubts you're going to sell out. I mean, I have no doubt, and I'm looking forward to seeing the show.
All right. Well, there's always room for one more, so please be our guest.
Oh, all right. God bless you, Artimus Pyle. Thank you for coming out to be with us on Willie 102.
Well, that wraps up part 1 of this series on Artimus Pyle. It's going to be a series. There's just way too much to do in one video. The concert we talked about last February is now just a few days away as I do this on the 13th of July. If you haven't checked out the new Anthems album, I suggest you check it out. It's got a lot of your favorite artists as singers on Lynyrd Skynyrd classics, and no matter the genre, they're all there. Sammy Hagar, Marty Raybon, Dolly Parton. We'll continue the series after the show with a sit-down video and some concert clips, and we'll get some more details about where the latest projects are since February. I look forward to talking to Artimus Pyle again. You can look for those links here, or you can subscribe and hit notifications. Country Conversations with Cactus Jack. We'll see you soon.